Welcome to Asian ID. It was supposed to be an ordinary midnight escape into the glowing world of short dramas, wasn't it? I had wrapped myself inside a blanket, scrolling lazily through episodes in the hope that exaggerated romance and familiar storylines might lull me gently into sleep, hadn't I? Then, at exactly 27 minutes and 15 seconds into the 7th heartbeat, everything changed so suddenly that my heartbeat itself seemed to lose control, didn't it? Inside that narrow elevator stood Wang Haozhen and Mazinayu, trapped within a silence so tense that even the air between them felt dangerously alive, didn't it? The heroine looked confused and cornered, her breathing uneven beneath the cold fluorescent lights, while the hero stared at her with eyes trembling between restraint and obsession, didn't he? At first, his movements carried only a trace of hesitation, as though he were still fighting against something violent rising inside his chest, weren't they? Then suddenly, without warning, he reached forward, trapped her within his arms, lowered his head, and iced her with a force so overwhelming that it felt less like affection and more like surrender collapsing into chaos, didn't it? What began as a brief and punishing touch transformed within seconds into something wild and uncontrollable, as though years of longing had exploded inside one desperate moment, hadn't it? I remember staring frozen at the screen, my emotions swinging violently between shock and fascination, because part of me wanted to criticize the intensity while another part could not look away at all, couldn't it? The deeper the kiss became, the heavier the atmosphere inside that elevator seemed to grow, until even I, separated by a screen and hundreds of miles, felt as though the oxygen around me had disappeared, didn't I? Was it truly a romantic scene anymore, or had it become something far more dangerous and emotionally consuming than simple romance could ever explain? That was the terrifying power of Wang Haozhen's performances. Wasn't it? In thinking of you like the wind passing me, his chemistry with Sun Lulu created another unforgettable storm of emotion, didn't it? Against a backdrop of falling snow and unbearable silence, the male lead pressed the heroine into the icy ground and kissed her with the desperation of someone trying to rescue both her soul and his own, didn't he? First she assisted him, her hands trembling with confusion and fear, yet little by little the tension melted into fragile surrender beneath the snowfall, didn't it? Snowflakes landed softly on their hair and eyelashes while their lips tangled together in a kiss overflowing with grief, longing, and a hunger that words could never fully contain. Didn't they? How could something as simple as a kiss suddenly carry the emotional weight of loneliness, redemption, obsession, and heartbreak all at once? Could anyone truly explain that feeling? The redness around their eyes, the trembling lashes, the shattered expressions struggling between despair and hope, all combined into a scene so emotionally raw that it no longer felt scripted, did it? It felt as though the drama had taken the word brokenness, crushed it into pieces, and forced the audience to swallow every painful fragment whole, didn't it? Then came the rooftop confrontation scene, later nicknamed by viewers as the spy thriller kiss, and even now the memory of it still lingers inside my mind like a fever dream, doesn't it? They were supposed to be enemies standing on opposite sides of betrayal and suspicion, yet somewhere between the pushing, arguing, and emotional collapse, their lips found each other beneath the freezing night wind. Didn't the city lights blurred behind them while Wang Haozhen gripped the heroine's waist tightly enough to reveal both desperation and fear, didn't he? Inside that kiss existed resentment, temptation, curiosity, suppressed desire, and a dangerous tenderness hidden beneath aggression, didn't there? I remember staring breathlessly at the screen, completely forgetting to blink, because the tension felt almost unbearable to witness, didn't it? Yet perhaps his most legendary performance arrived a meteor alongside Guo Yuxin, where a single rooftop kiss became immortalized within the short drama world itself, didn't it? For 45 uninterrupted seconds, without a single cut or interruption, the camera captured them spiraling through conflict, attraction, and emotional surrender in one breathtaking continuous shot, didn't it? Their bodies turned together beneath the night sky while strands of hair danced wildly in the wind and their lips collided again and again with a mixture of defiance and irresistible longing, didn't they? Every second stretched endlessly, as though time itself had slowed down just to force viewers into feeling every ounce of emotional tension between them, hadn't it? At first his arms restrained her, but gradually they transformed into an embrace so desperate and intimate that it felt almost painfully real. Didn't they? Even the subtle movement of his throat, the tightening of his fingers, and the shift in his gaze from caution to complete emotional surrender were captured with unbearable clarity, weren't they? That scene did not merely create romance, because it created fate itself, didn't it? Replayed those 45 seconds over and over again until the line between fiction and emotional reality began to blur inside my mind, didn't I? Then came Stop Pretending. Mr. Huo wants a remarriage every day, where Wang Haozhen and Wang Yunayan transformed reconciliation into another emotionally devastating battlefield, didn't they? This time the kiss carried none of the earlier aggression, because hidden inside it was fear, relief, regret, possessiveness, and the terror of losing someone forever, wasn't there when he held her face with trembling hands and kissed her as tears still injured in his reddened eyes. The scene suddenly felt heartbreakingly human rather than purely dramatic, didn't it? His breathing remained uneven after the kiss ended, his expression overflowing with exhausted satisfaction, as though he had finally reclaimed something he believed was gone forever. Hadn't it? Watching that moment felt strangely invasive, as though the audience were witnessing emotions far too intimate to belong to strangers behind a screen, didn't it? And perhaps that is why these scenes continue haunting viewers long after the episode's end. Isn't it? Because beneath the glamorous lighting, the carefully choreographed camera angles, and the exaggerated fantasy lies something deeply human about the hunger to be loved, desired, forgiven, and Haozhen, doesn't there still? Another question quietly lingers beneath all this fascination, doesn't it? Why are modern short dramas becoming increasingly obsessed with intense kissing scenes and overwhelming physical tension as their primary selling point? Could it be because audiences genuinely crave stronger emotional stimulation, or perhaps storytelling itself has become so rushed and formulaic that physical intimacy now functions as the fastest shortcut toward emotional investment? Doesn't it? Maybe viewers are not truly addicted to kisses at all, because what they are actually chasing is the illusion of overwhelming passion in a world where real emotions often feel painfully distant. Isn't that possible? And when we replay these scenes late at night with racing hearts and trembling excitement, are we simply watching fictional love stories unfold on screen? Or are we secretly searching for emotions powerful enough to make us feel alive again? Aren't we? Thank you for watching the video. See you again.